In this video, I will discuss land cards in the game Lands of the Mesozoic. There are 5 main categories or colors of land cards, where you have brown for forest, green for prairie, yellow for dryland, light blue for water, and dark blue for wetland. You can see the symbols here at the top and also in the bottom right corner of the cards. So you can see what category of land cards they are. Also the general color in the card matches that of the symbol. Now, when you draw herbivore and carnivore cards, you don't know exactly what you're gonna get because each card is unique. On the other hand, cards in the land deck are more predictable. They are only 4 different templates or types of cards, and they appear in all 5 different colors, but they all will follow these templates. So the type 1 here, you have the example of Mars, which is a wetland, as you can see from the dark blue color and the symbol in the bottom right corner. It costs 1 card to put into play, so that means that you have to discard one of your cards into its corresponding discard pile in order to play the Mars into your ecosystem. As you can see, type 1 cards don't have any ability, so they can be activated to generate a resource, in this case a wetland resource, to pay for herbivore cards or to pay for abilities that require wetland resource symbols. The type 2 cards cost 2 cards, so you have to discard 2 cards to put them into play, and they can also be activated to pay for symbols of the specific category of land card. In this case, we have the cycad forest in the example, so that could generate a forest resource. But also, alternatively, unlike type 1, they can be activated for their ability, in this case to draw a land card from the land deck or from the discard of the land deck. Type 3 cards are the same as type 2. The only difference is that they cost 1 more card to put into play, and instead of drawing a land card as their ability, they allow you to draw a herbivore card. So herbivore cards are a bit harder to get, which is why they cost a bit more. Otherwise, they work exactly the same as type 2. The last type, type 4, costs 2 cards to put into play, like type 2, but the ability is just a one-time ability. So when you use the card to pay for generating a resource of its type, in this case for the mountain prairie, a prairie resource, that exhausts the card, but then it can be refreshed and it won't be lost from your ecosystem. However, if you activate it for its ability, as you can see, there is the symbol of extinction. That means that the card will go into the extinction pile. So that will be lost from your ecosystem and you won't be able to use it again in the future. So when you activate the ability, what you get is 1 card of each type, 1 land, 1 herbivore, and 1 carnivore, but then you lose the card in the process. In the land deck, there are 3 cards of each color for types 1, 2, and 3. That means that there are 15 cards of type 1, 15 of type 2, and 15 of type 3. Type 4, however, has only 2 copies of each color, which means there are only 10 cards, so type 4 cards are a little bit less common. At the beginning of the game, your priority should be to play land cards of types 2 and 3, because even if they don't match any symbols that you need for playing your herbivore cards in hand, they will give you an ongoing income of cards, and this will be very important throughout the game. Later on, land cards type 1 can be very useful too, when you don't want to spend many cards to play a land, and you will often look for type 1s, but at the beginning of the game they aren't particularly useful. Type 4 are a bit more of a wild card, so you can use it pretty much at any time. Now, if you have read the rules of the game, you will have noticed that all the land cards have a 0-point value at the end of the game. While this is true, it doesn't mean that you cannot get any victory points at the end of the game from your land cards. There are some goal cards that will allow you to get points too. For example, the landowner goal card will give you 1 victory point at the end of the game for each land card that you have played during the game. Another gold card that will give you victory points at the end of the game for your land cards is Extinction Master. This gold card gives you 3 points at the end of the game per each set of 2 cards that have an extinction symbol in them. So any type 4 land card, like the Mountain Prairie, will qualify towards this goal. Additionally, all land cards will qualify for either Penny Pincher or Big Spender gold cards. So type 3 cards that have a cost of 3 cards will qualify for Big Spender, and all the other land cards will qualify towards the Penny Pincher goal. So as you can see, you can get victory points at the end of the game from your played land cards. But that's not it, because there are some large herbivore cards that will also get points for specific types of land cards that you have played during the game. For example, as you can see here, Isisaurus doesn't have a set value of victory points at the end of the game because this card is worth 1 point per prairie attribute in your played cards at the end of the game. That means that any prairie land card will give 1 point to Isisaurus at the end of the game, and because Isisaurus costs 2 prairies to play, that means that it will be worth at least 2. But not only prairie cards will give points towards Isisaurus, some other animal cards will have secondary attributes like Eosostrodon, which as you can see, there is a prairie symbol in the bottom right corner. So that symbol is not used for anything else in the game other than for giving points at the end of the game to Isisaurus. So you can combine your land cards with other animal cards to boost your points with certain cards.